Late Night with the Devil is one of the weirdest films I have seen this year so far, in the best way possible. Directed by Cameron and Colin Cairns and starring David Desmotion, everyone is at the top of their game in this film. From its use of practical effects, clever sound design, editing, writing, and direction, it hits almost all the right beats, but I'll get to that here in a bit. Welcome back everyone, my name is Connor, and for those of you who are new, welcome to the Bros channel. I post a lot of different content here, from reviews to vlogs to cooking videos, and I actually have an upcoming video essay that I am super hyped to share with you all. So if anything like that interests you, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, but now it is time for... When I went into the theater to see this film, it was the first time I had gone to see a movie in theaters for at least 5 or 6 months. Followed with that were some very low expectations because I haven't seen the full trailer, just the teaser, and what I got from the teaser was that this was going to be a demonic possession movie. Now, I don't know about you, but as a massive horror fan, I have to say that the whole demonic possession subgenre of horror is my least favorite subgenre. The tropes and cliches are just so badly overused, and little do I ever see many films try and reinvent what has already been done since The Exorcist. And you've had some bangers like Drag Me to Hell and Evil Dead, but both of those have had some kind of comedy element to them that made them more interesting amongst a massive crowd of But Late Night with the Devil is amongst another one of the bangers. The premise follows a popular late night host in the 70s who had recently lost his wife to cancer, and ever since his ratings have gone down the toilet. In an attempt to bring back his audience, he does a Halloween special that is waiting to go horribly wrong. I'm going to start off with the positives, starting with the production design and the cinematography. And my god, does this film look and feel like the 70s. I mean, I'm only 21 years old, so I wasn't even alive, but I read history books and watch old films. The film is just pleasant and interesting to look at. It reminds me of like Ty West's film House of the Devil, which also had a very similar retro feel to it. I also want to mention the use of practical effects, which were very fun to watch and something I appreciated. Nowadays, you see the use of CGI everywhere, and little do we think about how a film is made anymore, because you can easily come to the conclusion that some guy made an effect behind a computer. So it was really refreshing for me to sit there in the theater and just wonder to myself, how did they do that? So I guess the use of CGI only when it was necessary was also another plus to the movie. And the CGI that is used is that old looking kind that you see in the 80s and stuff, you know, and it was just super colorful to look at, so I thought that was pretty cool. I could go on praising about the set design all day, but I have some other things that I want to talk about. Next up is the acting. As I said at the beginning of the video, everyone does a great job in bringing great performances to their characters that felt real. Mr. Desmotion brings a career best as a talk show host. He's charming, he's funny, and he brings a lot of passion to the lead role. However, I also want to credit the performances of the other actors in the film, as they did just as well of a job. Every line was delivered convincingly, and at one point had me hiding behind my jacket when I should have been taking notes. Speaking of me hiding behind my jacket, a good horror movie isn't all scary without its use of sound. And Late Night with the Devil avoids cliche jump scares, and the music is unnerving. There's a heavy use of brass music in the film, and I don't know what it is, but I think it might be the contrast of the lively atmosphere and cutscenes to more serious moments behind the scenes that make it all more interesting. So great job to the music and the sound department. And the last of the pros I want to cover are the writing, directing, and the editing, which were all done by Cameron and Colin Cairns. Now, I'm not all familiar with the background of their other films they've made, but after this film, I definitely want to follow what else they do, because this film was original and felt different compared to all the other demonic possession movies of recent times. Definitely a step up from the last one I saw. I thought the editing was clever, and again felt very retro and old style, which should appeal to those interested in that kind of thing. The tone of the film was consistent, clearly evident from the work of the directing from the brothers. The writing was also on par with tackling complex themes that go deeper than a surface level nonsensical demonic possession film. However, when it comes to the writing, I think this is where I want to talk about some of the negatives of the film. So, the movie had a great setup with a voiceover narration that would be a love letter to the fans of 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, had a 10-second act, and a third act that holds up in some parts, but I think it's the weakest part of the film. The main theme of this film seems to be that it's tackling issues on sensationalism around the satanic panic of the 1970s and 80s, so the entire premise felt very satirical throughout its runtime. The third act doesn't seem to really be like that, instead falling into something that felt confusing and weirdly messed up just for the sake of being messed up. But I think the ending can be left up to the viewer to decide on exactly what they saw. If you watched the movie, comment what your reaction was to the ending. Did it fall flat? Did it wrap things up? Or did it expose too much about the film? In my opinion, I think it might have exposed too much and took away some of the mystery behind the supernatural premise. Overall, Late Night with the Devil should please horror fans from all walks of life and serves as a breath of fresh air in a demonic possession subgenre. The story is interesting, the set is colorful, and the themes are complex, guaranteed to stick with you for days. Besides a third act that begins to fumble the ball a little bit, Late Night with the Devil is a solid 8.5 out of 10.